This is a 1970 International 1300D, and this is a homecoming for this truck. This truck is retired, but it's at its original fire station, South Metro Fire and Rescue 35, and special story about behind this truck is coming up right now. So tell me a little bit about this beast.
Sure, so this is an International 345 V8 with 196 horsepower, and it's still very low miles, only 7,600 miles, so that's pretty rare for a vehicle this age, but obviously it had some hard miles put on it, and it had a lot of time in the garage where it didn't do a whole lot. So since I got the truck, we had to do a radiator rebuild on it. That's happened already. And the carburetor needs a little attention too, so after it sits for a few days, it has a hard time, so we'll be doing a rebuild kit on that as well.
All right. But it purrs like a kitten, right?
It does. Fires right up, and it sounds amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
You have a special connection to this International, right?
I do indeed, yes.
So can you kind of, where did it start? Can you give me like the memory lane?
Absolutely. So growing up, I was absolutely infatuated with the fire department, and I grew up in this fire district. It was actually called Castlewood Fire Rescue before the name South Metro. But when I was a child, I was taken to Station 35. My grandfather took me there, and this was one of the trucks that was in the apparatus bay. In fact, it was the first airport fire truck that we ever had in this fire department. Okay. So I remember sitting in this very seat, holding on to this giant steering wheel. Especially as a kid, it felt even bigger, and this very couch-like seat. Just mesmerized with this truck and the ladder truck that was at Station 35 also. So I grew up knowing this fire department and wanting nothing more than to work for this fire department. And here I am today. I get to do my, live out my dream. It was originally purchased in 1970 by the airport authority, so it was back then called the Arapahoe County Airport, not Centennial. And for a number of years, it would actually be stationed out here and parked at the airport. And it lived here until 1983, and at that point, Fire Station 35 was built, and it moved over to Fire Station 35, where it stayed in service as the main airport fire truck all the way up until the year 2000, when it got replaced with newer technology. So it had one of the longest lifespans of any of the response vehicles.
30 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
So then what happened? Do you know what happened then? Yeah,
so technically the airport still owned the vehicle, and they took off the aircraft fire and rescue equipment. It used to carry foam and dry chemical agent to put out fuel fires. They took all that off, the airport took it back, and they used it to tow a de-icing trailer. They used it for the last 16 years for that purpose, and over the summer they decided that it was time to get rid of it and retire it. So they put it into an auto auction, and then the folks at Blue Star Automotive who contacted you to do the original review, they had picked it up. And I remember the weekend that I saw the video review pop up that you did, and immediately when I saw the screenshot of this truck, I knew it without even having to click on the link that this is the truck I sat in as a kid. I've always wanted to own a fire truck, and having one that A, I sat in as a kid, B, that happened to be from the fire department that I work for now, and C, that will fit in my garage at my house is like the perfect equation.
Do you know how much this truck was new?
Brand new, this was $4,074.
Okay, wow, you have the invoice?
I do have the invoice.
Wow.
From April 30th, 1970.
Awesome, awesome. And you were telling me, what about the equipment?
So in 1970, the equipment that went in the back to fight fires was actually $7,000. So the equipment in the bed of the truck cost more than the truck itself.
And it was the top dog, right? It was just the main truck of the fire department station here?
So this was the only fire truck really for Centennial Airport designed to fight aircraft fires. It was always partnered with a regular fire truck that you typically see driving down the street going to building fires and medical emergencies, car accidents. But this one was specifically reserved for those aircraft emergencies, and the only one really suited to handle those.
So that's amazing. You saw our original review of this truck. I mean, it was kind of a first drive, and I was lucky enough because Dan from Blue Star called me. He said, I have a really cool truck here. I'm like, all right, I'm there.
Yeah,
right. So it was pretty amazing that you then saw it and immediately, and then you purchased it.
Yes.
That's crazy.
And there's actually even more of a family link. So my father-in-law, who has since retired from this fire department, when he was a firefighter in the 1970s and 1980s, he actually worked on this truck as a firefighter.
Wow. Amazing.
So there you have it, yes.
So tell me a little bit, you were telling me that there was an accident involving this truck?
There was, yes. So some years ago, Centennial Airport would host an annual air show, and they had all kinds of airplanes, Blue Angels and all that. And one day during the air show, the truck was parked and it was stationary, and there was a prop plane, a World War II era prop plane that was taxiing, and the pilot had a difficult time seeing that this truck was parked and stationary, and the airplane got a little too close, and the propeller came in on my side, on the driver's side of the cab, with a firefighter sitting here.
Okay.
Miraculously, that firefighter was not injured. But it did significant damage to the truck, and
just kind of chopped it up?
It just chopped into the side of the cab, and
Whoa.
so in the photos you can see the significant damage it did, and they had to put a new cab onto the truck and do a bunch of repairs. And again, you know, we're very lucky that that firefighter was able to walk away from that accident. It was a very close call for him.
This International entered service in 1970 and was in operation until 2000, and it was the top dog of the station, the biggest firefighting truck. But look behind me, the 6x6 Oshkosh, it's doing the job of this truck now, these days. And we did a special episode on a 6x6, and you can see it at tfltruck.com. Well, I'm glad you were able to kind of reconnect with this truck, because I mean, it's how many miles are on it?
7,600 miles right now. And
for a 46-year-old
46 years old.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's not easy miles, right?
No.
Just kind of
very
idling and kind of working, right?
Right. So a lot of times sitting and not running in the station. Of course, they would start it every morning and make sure that it was going to be ready for the day. But yeah, it would sit, and then of course when that alarm tone goes off that there's an emergency, it gets driven quickly and very hard, and had a hard life responding to those emergencies. Absolutely.
So it has a granny gear, right? The first one is really low. Right?
Yes, granny gear is super low, so most of the time, unless I'm facing uphill, I have to start in second gear. Absolutely. It was a really special treat for me to actually meet Eric and see this truck again and learn a little bit more about its history. Go back to tfltruck.com for more news, views, and real-world reviews, and of course, a lot more cool fire trucks.